lot of skill. So it is kind of a shame when that happens, but it being Keysanity, you never know what's going to happen in these randomizer races. They could have just as easily took a surprise upset and just kind of shifted the entire dynamic of the tournament. So this should be a really good match to watch.
And they are off. And oh my gosh.
Well, I think one place had slightly better value than the other at this point.
Maybe a little bit. Demon pulling the bow immediately from Link's house. We know Yume is going to hit there eventually, but okay then.
Yeah, it looks like Yume is making a play straight for Kakariko. Honestly, I think it's a fine gamble. Get those, all those Kakariko items out of the way. Maybe not the direction I would have taken, but it could work him. It could work for him in this case.
Yeah, I mean, at different points in time, people are kind of still experimenting with the Keysanity opener. Some people prefer Houlihan opening, some people prefer a more traditional route, some goes South Hyrule. I don't think I can recall a time that's had kind of this many variations on the opening for Zelda.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, Keysanity, I think in a way it welcomes a lot of different strategies just because of how random it can be.
Oh, that looked dangerous on Yume's screen over there. I just saw a red handle. I didn't know if it was... Ooh.
Yeah, we may see it again on Demon's side, so we can make it a better verification of what that was. But yeah, that looked like a potential, maybe Samaria or Fire Rod or something.
I was thinking Samaria or Hook Shot, because Hook Shot has
right
as well. So, uh-oh.
Uh-oh, what?
Oh, I just say uh-oh for just about anything anymore, it feels like.
Okay, that's fair enough. We also have a red rupee drop on the bush crab. That's going to be very helpful, especially early on for the Kakariko routing that both of our runners are doing in this seed.
Yeah, that's absolutely helpful. Oh, no, just rupee.
Okay, just a red rupee. Okay, good. I guess we can retract that uh-oh from earlier.
Yeah, less uh-oh, more I don't know.
Okay, that works. And yeah, Demon immediately farming more red rupees as well. Good play, especially if they're going to give you as many. It's basically will save the trip to Houlihan at this point.
Yeah, the Houlihan gamble would have actually been a waste of time at this point in time, so solid gamble there.
Okay, so we're going to keep an eye on what our runners are going to be getting here in Kakariko in the Lost Woods area. Very quickly, though, for those who are unaware of what Keysanity is, Keysanity is basically the normal item randomizer that we've seen in the past standard and open tournaments, with the added inclusion of having keys and dungeon items also shuffled into that pool. Oh, have a nice power glove there in the chicken house. But basically, yeah, you can find all those dungeon items in other dungeons or in the overworld itself. So basically adds another layer of complexity to the logic of the randomizer, but as long as you think ahead and figure out how many keys you need for each dungeon, that'll definitely save you a lot of time in these particular runs.
Yep. More randomization means more things to keep track of. Most runners use some sort of tracker to help them keep track not only of where they've already checked, but also of different areas, items that they may be able to unlock at this point in time, given what they've already gotten. So just added levels and layers of complexity on top of each other. It's made for a really kind of interesting seed, and we've had some fun / interesting / trolly / oh god, I never want to see this seed again in this tournament so far.
Yeah, from being in this tournament, I definitely understand that. So that is a very, very true statement. As an example, we did actually find a big key to Turtle Rock in that Kakariko greenhouse. So whenever there's a dungeon item, it'll tell you which dungeon it belongs to. If it doesn't, you collected it in its vanilla dungeon. So yeah, you can find all the dungeon items in the overworld, tell you where they belong to, and you can use their features when you're in that particular dungeon.
Another thing that Keysanity added was extra functionality to both the compass and the map. The compass will show you, when you're in the dungeon, the number of treasure locations that you still have yet to at least collect. The map, in addition to its normal function as a map, will also tell you if that dungeon is going to be a pendant or a crystal dungeon. Doing map checks now is useless unless you have a map to be able to tell you. Even the music is randomized in each of the dungeons. So there's some extra value added so that you're not being completely worthless items being collected there for those.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's one of the things I love about it, how the developers for Randomizer just kind of took these seemingly useless items and just kind of added more functionality to them, whether they be helpful functionality for newer players like the compass and just kind of giving you a kind of a different mindset for the map. Like, you may want to go out of your way to get maps just so you have the extra intel on what a dungeon's going to be. So it's really cool how they made that work with this particular mode.
Absolutely. Quick update for Yume. Looks like he's going to go ahead and pick up the 300 rupees that's in the racing game. Didn't know what it was going to be. Routing around to get that. That's an interesting play at this time.
Yeah, for these seeds, you never know how the rupees are going to pay out. So honestly, it might just be making sure you take care of those rupees now so you don't have to worry about them later. So I can fully understand going for that.
Absolutely. And here Yume is going to find the bow and maybe kicking himself a little bit, but Demon hasn't used it a whole lot at this point in time.
So the Kakriko greenhouse that we were in earlier also provided the map to Eastern Palace, and from that, Yume just showed us the map check. So Eastern Palace will be a crystal. Just a normal crystal, not a 5 and 6 crystal, but we can also get that information later from the bomb shop guy in the Dark World. So those are some of the maps you don't necessarily have to find, because if you get the right information, you really only need to collect 2 maps, the 2 blue and red pendant maps. With that information, you pretty much can find out the entire crystal and pendant layout of the entire seed in question.
Absolutely, but every little bit of intel helps, and sometimes you don't even know it. So Yume about to show us what's in the South Shore Dam.
Just a vanilla heart piece.
Well, we're kind of at an interesting point in this seed. Still a handful of Sphere Zero locations to check. Yume and Demon also both having the bow and the power glove. Otherwise, not a whole lot of items pointing them in any single direction, is there?
Not particularly, no. One item I would like to see at this point would be the Eastern Palace Big Key, because that could make a play on Eastern Palace be very, very valuable right now.
That would be very nice. I mean, they both are certainly capable of doing dark rooms, so the lamp not having them...
Well,
okay.
Commentator's Curse! And we also get the cape as well in here, so... Not a bad cave for this seed.
No, not a bad find at all. It's a little bit interesting. That cape does open up the first treasure chest in Agahnim's tower, in that castle tower location. So I'm a little hesitant at that. If they start finding castle tower keys, I'm gonna start getting a little bit nervous here.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, one thing that a lot of people need to kind of start picking up when they start doing Keysanity seeds are the basically, since the dungeon items can be found in other places in the overworld, it basically adds more chests for each dungeon. So because of that, a place like Aghanim's Tower, which you really only would go to if you know for sure if you have to be Agahnim, there is actually value to going there because there are 2 treasure chests in there. So
Yume pulling his first sword while Demon is getting trolled by the mini troll dorms.
Oof. Oof at getting trolled by the troll dorms, and oof at that sword find, because that's just another item that could potentially point to Castle Tower early.
Well, and right now we're seeing Yume head up to do the castle area, the first part of escape. combining that together with the full escape routing, which is really kind of a nice play when you can combine these locations. A lot of runners start out checking the uncle in this location because it's a nice early check, but being able to route this together with the escape when you have a weapon really makes it more efficient.
It really does.
And it looks like Demon is not going to go up to the Ice Rod cave and instead setting up a fake flipper.
Oh, he does have the rupees for Zora. That could be a potential play here, especially if Zora has something.
Yeah, I'm just worried because he does not have the Moon Pearl at this point in time, so he can't route in the Waterfall Fairy. It's long ways for 1 or 2 items.
Yeah, it's really just 2 items and then intel on a 3rd one, or actually a 4th one if you count Hylia Island too. So, yeah, not a lot of gains here, but again, the whole time, like, Zora could have vanilla flippers or even the Moon Pearl for that matter. So you really don't know. It's, again, one of the crazy things about randos. Sometimes, ooh,
and that's unfortunate. The problem with the fake flipper glitch is if you take damage while fake flippering, it will insta-kill you. It used to be where it would send you into an infinite loop of constantly crashing into the water, but the programmers, in a smart move, decided, no, we'll just kill you.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it would lead to the same result anyway, so just decided to make that a little faster. Just take a death, and there you go.
So Demon going to be checking the back end of Escape. Not a whole lot of love for Yume here. We're going to see if Zelda's chest is going to have anything for us, though.
Back at the Escape, though, we do have a lot of love, a 20 rupee, and a compass to Ice Palace. Not a whole lot of value there.
No, unfortunately, we just don't seem to be finding a lot of anything at this point in time. Is Eastern possibly the play regardless?
It really could be at this point. I mean, could even be a vanilla big key situation.
Oh, Bottle Pull. That's interesting. That does unlock the Sick Kid as a possibility.
Did the Sick Kid have our progression the whole time? We'll just have to wait and see.
Meanwhile, Yume is going to go ahead and do the back end of Escape coming from this direction to pick up that one dark room area. Now, if he does not find a key, and I sincerely doubt he will, he won't be able to get all the way through. We'll have to save quit to Sanctuary and then do the back end just like Demon did. However, this one room and this one treasure chest is in logic and has trolled people for days in this tournament.
Mm-hmm. And it's understandable how it does. Just a red rupee, though. But yeah, that chest, some people may not want to go there because Hyrule Castle is such an early game location. You don't want to worry about taking too much damage in that dark room. And then if you just keep putting it off, you just end up forgetting about it. So it's definitely one of those really trolly locations that you just forget about sometimes.
Absolutely. And Demon is using bomb strats through here. Interesting.
Now, did I say that correctly, or is a fairy the drop prize for this seed?
Yeah, fairy is looking like it's the drop prize for the stun pack.
Yeah, the stun drop, yeah.
That's going to come in handy. That adds a lot of value and survivability to that boomerang that they have.
Okay, looks like Yume is opting to walk to the Eastern Palace area, so we'll definitely be seeing the chests in Sarstrala's hut, and then also potentially a play in the Eastern Palace too, because if they get that big key in there, that is a full crystal dungeon being taken care of this early on, and that's not something that happens a lot in Keysanity.
No, anything sub 30 minutes for getting a dungeon complete in Keysanity is really doing pretty good, all things said.
Oop. Okay, Green Pendant in Thieves Town. Getting that information from Sashrala. And the big key to Thieves Town.
So Sahasrala has all the intel on Thieves Town, apparently. You get the green pendant there, and oh, by the way, here's the key so you can actually beat the place. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Demon continuing with his really kind of gambling ways. He's going to go ahead up into this Agahnem's tower, going to see if this first treasure chest has anything. It is in logic, largely because of that cape. We'll see if this is where our progression is.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the chests that are here in Agahnem's tower is there are two chests. The first one you can get to as soon as you get access to the tower in question. And the second one you actually do need a small key for. Now, he does run out of weapons while going through that, so he's going to have to come back later. But that might actually end up being better because, yeah, there's a castle tower within logic that Yume just picked up. So it may be better to come back later when he actually has a better, more consistent weapon and that key to actually get the other chest in sight.
Man, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. One castle tower key in logic. If we find another one, that's pointing a pretty bright flashing light towards Agahnem's tower there.
Yeah. Yeah, Moon Pearl hasn't been found either, so that could be our necessity to even get into the Dark World in the first place.
It could. We have Demon going up to Death Mountain. Again, is in logic because of that lamp and power glove that he found, so he's following the clues that the seat's giving him. It's unfortunate that he hasn't gone down to pick up his weapon yet, though, in the Ice Rod Cave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem like Demon's kind of making these kind of, instead of going for high volume locations, kind of checking other smaller item yield locations at this current time, because sometimes that is the case where you go through all this stuff that's available to you and you go from one high value location to the next one, but then all of a sudden you get to that one bottleneck point where there's just one item remaining, and sure enough that item will be your progression. So I feel like Demon's kind of trying to mitigate that a little bit, see if like he kind of takes some of these gambles. If he gets something good, then he might actually be ahead for a little bit. So I don't hate the play, it's just unfortunately not really working out for one reason or the other. And inside the Spectacle Rock Cave, we have the mirror, so...
You said.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mirror is absolutely a good find. It doesn't give us a whole lot of progression, unfortunately, right now, but it's a nice item to have that, if Yume finds progression elsewhere, could guide him away from that mirror for a while. So It'll be interesting.
And see, with that mirror, like we saw that the top of Spectacle Rock won't yield that much, but the you can get to Hera now and check out the first two chests in there at the very least.
Absolutely. In the meanwhile, YumeTsubasa looks like I have no idea where Yume is going.
Maybe back to Kakariko for Sick Kid?
Oh, that's a strong possibility. And Sick Kid, I mean, is a logical play at this point in time. Be interesting to see what Sick Kid has for us. Oh, that slug sprite. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's kind of clever. Yeah, you become the slugs that are in Misery Mire when you're the Vitreous sprite. That's kind of cool.
All right, so let's see what both Sick Kid and is in Tower of Hera. Just a lot of love.
And, well, okay, he's going to want to take those bombs because he did run out of bombs earlier on in the castle tower, so probably not a bad idea.
Nope, but where is our progression?
I think Yume is maybe following the trail up the Death Mountain now. And just a small key to Misery Mire.
I think the only location that is available to them that we have not checked is that wonderful trolley Agahnim's Cave.
Yeah, Agahnim's Cave and Demon technically did not make either trip to Zora or the Castle Tower chest, so those could be progression as well.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And with Yume finding that Castle Tower key and the lamp, I mean, it's in logic.
Yeah.
Part of me just wants to scream a little bit here. Demon, go get your sword. You're going to be happy if you go down there.
Yeah, thankfully Eastern doesn't really require any major weapons, but just on the off chance you get stuck in that one Stalfos room, you have limited pots and you don't really want to try to destroy Stalfos with bombs, so that sword would be really, really helpful for him if he does decide to go to Eastern, which it does look like he is.
Yep, he's going to be disappointed with this particular trip. Yume finding the mirror. Got to be a little bit excited about that find up here, but still not any progression.
Nope, not looking like it at all, and we probably will not have any progression until we start seeing some new locations here.
So what's your bet? Where are we going to find our next little bit of progression here?
Let's see.
We really have three locations: Agahnim's Cave, Castle Tower, or Zora, and that's it.
I'm kind of thinking Zora might be the play in this particular case. I mean, it's not really tied to the logic, but rupees have been very accessible, especially with the bush crab, and I don't know. I kind of like to use that kind of thinking when I'm going through these seeds. If I have a lot of money and I can get to Zora, then, you know, it probably won't hurt to go to Zora at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be the last option that I would choose, because I would still try to route that in with something else.
Right.
But it absolutely could be. I think my play would be for Agahnim's Cave, because it is the one out-of-the-way location that has trolled me in the past, so I probably have, you know, statistical bias just because of my experience.
Right. Well, either way, both of our suggestions are definitely kind of out-of-the-way locations at this point, so it's looking like no matter what, our runners are going to have to kind of go take that extra mile to get that progression they need.
Absolutely.
Speaking of which, we should be seeing which route Yume is going to be choosing in just a minute. I think making that play on Agahnim.
Okay, so Yume is either going to make me a prophet or a sucker, one of the two.
Watch, it'll end up giving, it'll give a progression item, but it just won't give the near progression item. It'll give, like, the Cane of Samaria or something, which we won't be needing until later.
I mean, that would be nice, but I can see it giving us, like, the shovel as well, which would be, ugh.
Yeah.
And yeah, it could be something totally trolly too, like a big 20, and says, "No, guess again." So we'll see where Demon ends up going now.
Ooh.
Hera, big key.
He was just there.
Oh my goodness.
That's always the worst feeling in, especially in Keysanity, and like this wasn't even a case where like you got something that led you to Agahnim's cave. It was just you were just at this one far out of the way location. You finish it up, you go somewhere else to get something that's for that location you were just at, and then you have to go all the way back. It's such a frustrating feeling.
Yeah, there's no good feeling at this point in time, but it does seem like that might be our progression, maybe, if there's further progression here in Tower of Hera.
Yeah, let's see. That's, I believe 3 items are available now through this place. So yeah, I think this is a good hunch. A good, I guess you could call it a gamble, because I mean there are still some other locations left, but it is also, you know, 3 items. So definitely worth to get this check out of the way now.
Yeah, at this point, you're hoping that this is where the seed is pointing you, and that's people sometimes trying to read the tea leaves, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Demon is going to be trying to climb the tower again.
Still no sword, by the way. Thankfully, arrows are good tools as well, but gosh, I would so want a sword for this part right here.
Oh yeah, this would be horrible, especially this room. Then he realizes, oh wait. Okay, he's going to try to bomb them, grab some efficiency there.
Okay. That does make sense, though. I can see that.
Swamp Palace, big key. Was that the Swamp Palace big key?
Yes, it was. I was trying to remember what was in the smaller chest.
So Demon still trying to go over and get this one treasure chest. Still not a ton of progression in Tower of Hera so far.
And nothing in Castle Tower either.
Yume getting trolled a little bit, but pulls it out, and Yume pulls the flippers.
Okay. That'll immediately give all the value in Zora right now. So it didn't give us any like new progression, so to speak. I mean, it did in the Zora area, but like we were going to go there anywhere. So if anything, this was a good play, just because now we can get more stuff from the Zora area.
Absolutely. So Yume knows where he has to go. Probably hit up, go from Link's house, be able to hit up Hobo and things like that.
I mean, at this point, I think this is all Yume has. Oh, no, Castle Tower. But we know that there's not going to be anything in there, so...
Oh, hang on.
For Yume. Oh, yeah?
This is my Ben Stein impression with Demon in the desert. Do you have dry, sandy eyes? Try clear eyes.
Try clear eyes.
All right, so Hobo is going to have, and Demon gets his, oh, I hope Demon has a sword. I hope he realizes he needs a sword before he goes up to Hera.
Oh, that's right. And Moon Pearl at the Hobo. That could have actually been gotten earlier with fake flippers, but unfortunately that death discouraged Demon from going back that way.
Yeah, that's a very, very, very nice play. And if Demon had fake flippered, because he did the fake flipper glitch, if he had fake flippered up to Hobo, then he would be able to have done the waterfall.
Yeah, because he would have had the moon pearl. So yeah, that's really unfortunate that didn't work out.
I think when Demon finally finds that, he's going to Rage Slash and what?
And they were already on Death Mountain too. Just again, this back and forth to Death Mountain happens so much in Keysanity.
That hook shot unlocking East Death Mountain for our runners. That's a treasure trove, a literal treasure trove at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. Demon is finally going to get that sword, though, so that's great. That's good that he's going to be finally on track with all of this.
Yep, I imagine he'll be happy to find this. Maybe we'll think he's a little bit behind because he did not have the sword as early as he would like. Yep, there's some frustration pulls.
I don't know how an eyeball pulls on a chest, but we'll just use our imaginations for that.
So yes, we are 30 minutes into this race, and this is already, you know, our third run up Death Mountain for Yume.
Mm-hmm. Just as Demon makes his second run up Death Mountain.
And it's a required double dip up Death Mountain because you have to get the flippers in order to get that.
That's right. It is interesting, though, because technically you could have skipped all those trips and then just come back later with all of the flipper rewards and potentially Agahnim's key for Hera. See, this could have been all done in one trip, but it's just unfortunate it didn't work out that way.
Yep, I mean, learning the glitches is certainly helpful.
Mm-hmm. We'll get a small key for Ice Palace. Not technically required, but I think it's good to have one just to make more efficient routing through that dungeon.
Alright, so Yume picks up small key to Ganon's Tower, Cane of Samaria. Oh, our other castle tower key. Oh no.
You see, we haven't found... Oh, Fire Rod, too. Dang. Really, really nice Paradox Cave, except for that second key to Castle Tower, because we have not found the hammer or the second gloves yet, so Aghanim's Tower might be required just for Dark World access.
Well, we still have one more location to check in this spiral cave on the way down, so we shall see what we shall see. The only thing we're missing for Dark World access otherwise is either the hammer or the Titan's Mitt. So either of those things, if we find them, will be golden. But I'm not banking on it on this time. Are you, Slim?
Not really. I'm feeling like Castle Tower is going to be the forced play here. And a big key on the Death Mountain Lonely Island. So that's probably going to be gotten. They do have the mirror after all, so shouldn't be too hard of a pickup when they have that access.
Absolutely not. Good routing choice to actually check that. I know some runners have been foregoing that for whatever reason, but definitely needed.
And Demon takes down Moldorm, gonna get his flippers, and if he's been paying attention to the logic that he's been going through this seed so far, might be kind of frustrated right now, knowing that, oh well, fake flippers could have actually gotten me something.
Yeah, he's, I'm sure, not feeling too good, but Yume is preparing this horrible Aghanim Tower climb. And we've already seen both the treasure chests here as well from Demon's first dip here. So we know there's nothing of value in any of these treasure chests, so it's got to be on the pyramid.
Yep, I think this is an Aghanim. I mean, I think it's official at this point. This is an Aghanim required seed.
Well, and I should take that back. It may not be on the pyramid, but it's accessible pretty early in the Dark World.
Yeah, because as soon as they get to Dark World, they're gonna have a few different options actually with that hook shot, because they can actually get to the left side of the Dark World by hook shotting across the river when they get there. So it'll be the play either on Darkness Palace, which doesn't seem like a good play right now, just because very few chests are available, or it's going to be going to that western side of Dark World with the Village of Outcasts, just from a very long way around.
I was going to say, I think between the hookshot and the flippers that they have access to most of the Dark World, now that I stop and think about it. The problem is that it's just a long way around until you get that hammer.
Yeah, it's a very inconvenient trip around until that hammer is acquired, for sure.
All right, so Demon is about to discover exactly what he missed out on. No frustration slashes this time. He's feeling okay.
That's the thing. You can't spend a whole lot of time doing rage slashes. You are in the middle of a race after all, and especially right now when you probably feel behind after the unfortunate deaths and unnecessary dips you made. It can be like, okay, well, I am frustrated, but I can't really show it. I need to make some ground in execution.
Yume is putting that fire rod to work here in Ganon, in Agahnem's tower. All right, so YumeTsubasaCH is on his way up and is about to face Ganon fight. There is another guessing game we can actually play when we're fighting Agahnim, ladies and gentlemen. Every now and then, Ganon will shoot out blue balls. The maximum, I think is something like 12 or 16 that he could possibly shoot out. So guess, ladies and gentlemen, how many blue balls he will actually be firing. Slim, do you have a guess for us?
I'm going to be kind of generous to the runners. I'm only going to say 2.
Oh, you're a lot nicer than I am. I'm going to say 6.
Wow. Why do you hate our runners today? Why?
It's not hate, it's jealousy. We'll just
Fair
call
enough.
it that. All right, we have 1 blue ball.
You have 1 lightning attack. We don't count those.
No, we do not. Now, the first attack after lightning will absolutely always be a normal reflectable attack. After that, it's random.
Yes, that is correct. There's 2. Oh, okay. Only 2. Nice.
All right, Slim, you were absolutely right. I did not get a chance to be mean to anyone, so.
Well, you had the Agahnim progression earlier, so
We'll swap.
Yeah,
right.
Something. Right, exactly. Okay, just bombs on the pyramid. So I'm really curious about the play Yume is going to make right here, because there's 3 possible things could happen. 1, go to pod, which I think would be kind of risky right now. 2, go across the river, or 3, go to catfish, then go across the river.
Well, Yume's already pulled out the hook shot, which might just help in terms of traveling along, or it could point that Yume's getting ready to cross the river.
Yep, I think that's what Yume is going to do. Also, Demon is actually on... Oh, wait, no. He had to go back down for his hook shot. That's right. Okay, never mind. I forgot that... Oh, okay, yeah, this is the 3rd trip. That's right.
All right, so Yume is going over to Catfish, another one of those kind of out-of-the-way trolley locations that can be tough to route in together, so we'll see what Yume ends up finding here.
Yeah, this is a play you really want to do later on when you get the mirror and not visit Zora, but unfortunately it kind of require that Zora area visit, so kind of a double back area, unfortunately. We do get the powder, though.
Oh, nice survival tool and another fetch quest.
A fetch quest that can actually be done right now. Yeah, it can be. With just the mirror. Also, some more map information. We have crystals at Palace of Darkness, Skull Woods, and Misery Mire.
So here goes Demon going into Castle Tower for the third time. Feels bad, man.
Yeah. Honestly, it does seem like he hasn't really lost any time, like since he's been on the right path. It's just been unfortunate those two deaths in Fake Flipper and in the retreat from Agahnim Tower. That's kind of what he's behind right now.
Absolutely. I mean, he's right there in the thick of things. It's just it's going to take one good find to put Demon right back in this race.
And maybe a visit to Palace of Darkness instead of going this way could give him that advantage, so we'll have to see.
I think he feels a little bit behind at this point in time because of the not having the sword, so I can see him making some riskier plays kind of as the game wears on.
Okay, answering a question in chat. What is demonrhk's sprite? He is actually the Vitreous sprite. Vitreous, you know that boss from Misery Mire in this game? Those are one of the eyeballs that Vitreous has, so that is the sprite that he is using.
And a big shout out to the attention to detail that our sprite developers and in the community have really done for these sprites. Both YumeTsubasa and Demon using custom sprites. Just a little detail that I noticed from Demon as I was watching, when he slashes and he's looking to the side, the pupil of the eye actually opens up a little bit wider. And that's just the little details that just make me so happy for some reason.
The thing that still kind of confuses me a little bit about the sprite that's the Vitreous sprite, I still don't get how, whenever you hold up an item, how the eyeball is holding up the item. Like, what exactly is that extending out of the eyeball? Just like a vein or something? It's kind of weird.
Sometimes it's best to not ask these questions, Slim.
That's fair. That's very fair.
Chat also pointing out, Vitreous, this sprite is the only one without a shadow, so all you guys who like to line up your bomb jumps with a shadow, that would not be possible at the moment with this sprite.
Okay, looks like Yume actually took a little trip here to get a bottle from the top of Bumper Cave. Not a bad play.
Bumper Cave Blue Goo, I mean, it's nice.
Still using Green Mail, so you never know when that's going to be helpful to bring out.
Meanwhile, Yume taking a trip into Skull Woods first. This is kind of an interesting first play in the Dark World.
I don't know. Whenever I go to Dark World from the Outcast side, this is usually where I stop first, just because of the immediately accessible chests and the fact that Skull Woods is kind of segmented as it is. So I can see this play.
Yep, and Yume, if he's paying attention, will be able to know that he already has a key, so he can forego that bottom room. Yep.
Meanwhile, demonrhk in the fight against Agahnim, don't worry about doing the guessing game again. Assuming that he doesn't miss any shots, he'll have the same exact RNG that Yume had, so he'll have 2 blue energy balls as well.
And Yume going into this last part. I guess Cane of Samaria also really makes this part a heck-a-ton easier.
Yeah, don't have to deal with those Gibdos giving you annoyances in that room. I also almost forgot that YumeTsubasa does have the Fire Rod, so this will allow a completion of Skullwoods in addition to getting the items in here. So this was actually even a better play than I initially even intended for it to be.
Yeah, and that Fire Rod will certainly help. I mean, I would be super nervous. I guess Yume's has some decent health, but Green Mail, I guess now 2... red potion and a green potion, fighter sword, fire rod. I mean, it won't be an easy fight, but definitely doable.
Right. It'll take 8 shots with the fire rod, and as soon as you finish 1 magic bar, you can just refill with that potion, and then just immediately try again.
Looks like Demon is going to go for the early play over to Catfish. It might be following Yume at least across the river.
Right.
All right, so Yume is about to fight the moth. Meanwhile, Demon picks up his powder. Fighter sword slashes. Wow. Yume is brave, I'll say that much.
Ooh, gonna need to be careful right there, using that red potion. Good idea. And I think it's actually... Oh, there we go. Okay, nice.
Solid play, and just a big 20. But a crystal. So our first crystal is actually at 47 minutes. Remember, we had Tower of Hera, but that was a blue pendant.
That's right.
A little bit later, a little bit of overworld trolley locations for our first spot, but sitting pretty good. Have the bow already. No Titan Smith, which would be, or Hammer, which those two would kind of be our main next progression items, I think, at this point in time.
Yeah. And I usually find that in a seed like this where you don't get both gloves early, the Titan's Mitt usually ends up being in one of those first half Dark World dungeons. So either Palace of Darkness, Swamp, Skullwoods, or Thieves Town. It just seems like there's always seems to be a really, really good glove in one of those places.
All right, so as Yume is leaving the greater Skullwoods area, probably going to be heading down south to Thieves Town and Village of Outcasts, does have the Thieves Town big key gifted to us from Sahasrara because he wanted you to get the green pendant and then gave you the key to do it.
That's very, very good canon logic. I can see that working for this randomizer. Anyway, Aaron Dobie in chat making the comment about first crystal at 47 seems fast in Keysanity. Actually, that is a very true statement. It is not too surprising for that first crystal to kind of elude you for a while. Just because you have to keep in mind that a lot of dungeons have those extra walls of progression that you need to get through, and sometimes you just do not get those keys that you need to get through those dungeons. So yeah, seeing first crystal at 40 minutes is not very surprising.
And Yume pulling a big surprise there out of the C-shaped house. It was the Ganon's Tower big key. So won't have to go hunting for that. C-shaped house of all things. That's different. It could be anywhere, but that's different.
It is definitely different. Ganon's Tower Big Key can literally be anywhere in the game, aside from those 4 chests at the top of Ganon's Tower, or the big chest in Ganon's Tower. So yeah, it could be in so many locations. I think one of my favorite locations is the fact that it can be in the back of the tavern in Kakariko.
I mean, why not, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Yume pulls Bombos from first treasure chest in Thieves Town. Okay, why not?
Anyway, well, on the topic of where keys can be, and someone in chat mentioned that, yeah, we did actually have a Ganon's Tower pedestal seed last night in one of the tournament races. Also yesterday, there was a small key to Swamp on the pedestal race, too. So that's one of the interesting things. We have a lot of, like, pendant possibilities. We have one of the pendants already. There's the hammer in Thieves Town, by the way. Gonna get another pendant at the end of Thieves Town. There could be a potential another key on pedestal in this particular seed too.
I would be perfectly fine with that. I'm a little bit upset that I missed Ganon Tower and Swamp Palace small key on the pedestal last night. Oh my gosh. That's the dream.
So yeah, pedestal hype very much in play right now with just how easy we're getting these pendants.
Absolutely. Let's see here. We know that Thieves Town and Tower of Hera, 2 already completable dungeons, have already had their pendants. So it's just a matter of what that third pendant is and then what unlocks that. I mean, there's a lot of possibility for what's on the pedestal at this point in time.
Yeah. There's still a lot of items that are still unaccounted for at this point, too, so until we find out the exact requirements for game completion, we will not know all the possibilities, but once we do, we'll definitely start narrowing down what that pedestal item could be this time.
Yume's getting... that's probably one of the best pickups you can get in Blind's Palace. If you don't know Blind's fight perfectly, getting the red shield, super nice just before Blind.
Yeah, a lot of people put down those shield upgrades, but sometimes, especially the second and third shield upgrades, can be very, very helpful. And Fire Shield for Blind, I think, is a big example of that. If you're not good at kind of doing those bullet hell type of boss fights, having the Fire Shield just to kind of ricochet a few shots off a Blind sometimes can make a world of difference.
Both of these runners are really taking advantage of that stun package prize being the fairy. They've refilled themselves multiple times, and there's the book. Oh, the dream is true.
May be a while, because Yume is done with Skull Woods at this point, so doesn't have much of an incentive for going back in the woods, but yeah, that could come into play. Once we find that third pendant, may actually see what exactly it could be in case he does have to go there.
And a baker's job is a piece of cake, Blind says to us. To which I say, you don't know many bakers.
Wow, that pun may have been worse than any pun I've made in the history of the world.
That's saying something, Slim. I've heard some of your puns.
Fair enough.
Hey, the map the thieves down. What?
Thanks, game. I'm already finished with Thieves Town, but I guess that's the thought that counts.
We appreciate it. So Demon also doing this Mothula fight. Struggling a wee bit here.
Yeah, it seems like those spike traps are really, really getting in the habit of protecting Mothula here.
Oh man, and lots of digging from Yume, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Ice Rod time.
Oh. So that's the Ice Rod and Fire Rod and Cane of Samaria and Hammer. All we need is the Titan's Mitt, and Turtle Rock becomes in logic.
You know what? Something Yume did right there that I'm actually kind of curious. If you dig outside of the digging game field, does that still count as digs? Because they dug a hole while they were still walking towards the other screen.
I mean, it's possible. Maybe. I don't know.
I could save some time, a little bit of time. Because a lot of people just stay in the game.
Yeah, Chad is asking, we don't know because we don't have mitts, we haven't been to Dark World, but there's our second medallion, so we're 2/3 of the way that we might have access based on medallions alone.
Right.
And YumeTsubasa is on his way over to the whipping boy of the Randomizer community, formerly known as Hype Cave.
Yeah, Hype Cave was very popular at one time in the Randomizer community. Now, not so much.
Yeah, everyone kind of likes to trash on it, but already a Master Sword.
Okay, I'm coming around to it again. Maybe not for that. Maybe for that. Okay, the sword's good. We'll just go with the sword.
Well, sword and Ice Palace. Oh, I guess Ice Palace Big Keys isn't required, so okay. C.
It's not necessarily required, but it will save a lot of grief if you do go to Ice Palace, because then you can get that item and not have to worry about the potential double dip that you could have to make. Swamp and Turtle Rock, okay. That Ice Rod was required. And, well, gets a bomb in the face for that.
Because now.
Nah, I don't want to go there.
So, so we have Mire, Pod, Swamp, and Turtle Rock that we know are crystals.
Or, well, Swamp. Okay, no, you said were crystals. My bad. Okay, yeah. That's correct.
And we know Skull Woods is.
Mm-hmm. So we really just need info for Ice Palace and Desert Palace now.
One of them's a crystal, one of them's the red pendant. We don't know.
Okay, I actually have a very, very important question for you right now, Vitasia.
Okay.
Where are the pod keys?
Oh my god.
We have 0 pod keys at an hour in the run, and Yume is going to pod, so I was like, okay, how many pod keys does he have? He has 0.
Huh. Yeah, that's... Maybe they're all trolling us in pod? I mean, that
could happen. 6 vanilla pod keys, says the chat.
I mean, that's a great question, and I don't have a good answer for you, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, like, this is insane. I haven't never...
Is kind of a risky move at this point in time, but I don't know if Yume thinks he has any other choice at this point in time, because he can't get anywhere else without that Titan's Mitt.
Well, see, the thing is, I mean, he does have the bow, so this will allow him to get the that chest he just got, the 2 chests over here, and I think he can still get 2 more chests too. So, I mean, there are 5 items he can get right now, so this is not a bad play.
No, it's a little bit of running around, absolutely, and you have to really know your dungeon logic. Going into pod with 0 keys is not for the faint of heart, though.
And again, this is a play that could... Well, okay, now if they did the play earlier, they wouldn't have had the hammer, so they could only get these 3, but... And pod as a dungeon, you're more than likely going to dip no matter what. I think you just kind of have to make your peace with that in Keysanity, so that you're going to be double dipping pod at some point.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? I've made my peace a long time ago that I will be double dipping a lot of dungeons in Keysanity, just because that's how the logic expects you to do it.
Mm-hmm. Turtle Rock small key. Okay, so yeah, coming here earlier wouldn't have been a good play, so that's good that neither runner did that.
Yep, so we're going to check these other 2 locations that you mentioned earlier. Going to have to kind of route around and walk around a bit. And it feels like something's got to be here. Otherwise, it's a bunch of one-off locations. Green goo.
Not progression.
Oh my. So nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, we do have the hammer now, so we have Bat Cave that we can check.
We also have the green pendant for Yume, so that's going to be also checked right here.
Oh, this could be interesting. I mean, Sahasrara was pretty insistent that you go to Thieves Town.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thanks a lot, dude.
Should have known.
Okay, so Yume is going back. Let's see. Yeah, it's at this point, it's either Batcave or maybe even that first chest in Swamp. We have the book too, so there's some book locations as well.
Ooh, book. Speaking of book, we have Desert Palace.
Oh, that's right, Desert, yeah.
We don't have the big key, but there's some possibility there.
So yeah, tablets, Batcave, first chest in Swamp. 2 items potentially in Desert because one's on the outside.
And just a bunch of... We're back to where we were about what was it, half an hour ago, of a bunch of single one-off locations that we're checking. All right, so Demon is going to go do his digging game, and you may trip up Death Mountain number 4.
Yep, that's what we got here. Oh, Spike Cave is also another location too.
Oh yeah, with the cape. That is in logic.
Meanwhile, Demon gets his ice rod.
At this point, I think I am hoping for on ice, either in Spike Cave or on the Ether Tablet. I'm kind of hoping for the Desert Palace Big Key. And I hope Desert Palace is a pendant so that we pull the ped.
Yep, that could very well be a thing. Let's see. Immediately gonna check there.
No bombs! Oh, and Yume's not going to Spike Cave at all.
Ooh.
That could be dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. If progression, that next kind of bottleneck location, is up in the Spike Cave, that could really make a bad day for YumeTsubasa here and give Demon a chance to catch up.
Thing is, Demon will have to kind of also make some of these other plays, because if he goes straight to Pod, following in Yume's footsteps, that's not going to really gain him a lot of time. So getting this Master Sword, if there is something in the Bombos tablet, that could really, really help him if he just immediately goes there after this check.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the Swamp Palace check for one treasure chest. I can understand it because we're kind of running out of locations, but this is a lot of setup for one treasure chest location, and you're just kind of crossing your fingers.
Yep, that's true.
All right, so YumeTsubasa, about to check the first treasure chest in Swamp. This would be a trolley location for just about anything, if it's progression.
And Demon is not going to Pod right now. And there was just a compass inside Swamp, so...
Demon looks like he's going to go check Bombos. He got that Master Sword and has the book. This might be interesting. They're both going to go check Bombos at the same time. We might...
And just like this, Demon could have the lead again. Like, could have the lead, because Yume did not get anything of major worth in those other areas.
No, it's just a compass. It's got to be
Dream.
Spike
Well,
Cave.
Okay, he's going to check Desert too, so...
Oh, there's a big key on the torch.
Come on, Desert Big Key.
Desert Big Key on Desert Ledge. What? All right, so neither of them have the single key at this point in time. And goodness, I hope that neither of them try to steal that key from the back end to come over. That would be disastrous.
That is always risky to do in Keysanity, in my opinion. Okay, just 10 arrows in here. Gonna see if that big key is next, because yeah, don't have the small key, so you can't get the 2 chests. Don't have the big key, can't get the big chest. And can't get this either, because no boots, but 20 rupees, who needs that anymore? So we're gonna see what that big key is immediately.
Couple places we don't have Misery Mire big keys, Skull Woods big key. Both of those are kind of not useless, but Skull Woods is Pod, Desert Palace, and Eastern. So Eastern,
okay.
So that book was indeed the source of our progression. I mean, Eastern, we have only 2 more items to get because both of them have full cleared it up to that point in time.
And it seems like both of them have the same, doing the same things now. So this is a very, very close race at the moment. Now, if they finish Eastern and get something else, and if Demon decides to check the pod area, Yume will kind of step back in the lead again. But right now, this is really, really close.
It became very close very, very quickly. Demon, with a very simple play of, oh yeah, I already have the book, I just got a Master Sword, I'm right next to Bombos and Desert. And going ahead and doing that. He is turning in his green pendant here, which is kind of a smart routing decision. So he and Yume will not be entering at the exact same time, but my goodness, how close are these two? And it did not seem this close even 10 minutes ago.
No, yeah, because while Yume was checking pod, Demon was still making his way through Thieves Town. Now it's just like they're both going to be in the same place at the same time.
And it was that Thieves Town play and making a fourth trip up Death Mountain there, and that's not an easy trip.
No,
or not a fast trip at any rate.
Right. Oh yeah, and you may also check Swamp too, which was also kind of a bit of a time sink as well.
Absolutely. So just it's going to be a gamble. Demon made a good gamble, and Yume made some bad gambles, and that's the nature of Rando, which is what makes it so exciting. 5 rupees, so it's got to be on Armos Nights.
It's got to be that, or it's going to be one of those other locations, like either Spike Cave or... I think there was another location, too, that I'm not remembering at the moment.
Oh my goodness, I'm having a hard time thinking of anything else at this point in time, but yep.
Man, they have gotten a lot of arrow capacity upgrades, already at 55 max arrows.
I know, right? This is kind of shocking at how many arrow capacity upgrades they've gotten at this point in time. Usually you don't see a ton of capacity upgrades in Keysanity anyway.
Right.
Yume missing the perfect run for Armos Knights.
And yeah, Demon could have a bit of a better fight, but unfortunately this red Igor got away from him too, so he's going to lose a little time there.
But hey, that's where our Titans mitts were, so progression for both of them, and the world is now wide open to us.
Yes, there's so much more they can do right now. Pretty much, yeah, like almost every dungeon except Mire can be kind of attempted at this point.
All right, so Slim, if you're in these runners' positions, you just now get the Titans Mitt. Where do you go first?
Okay, and it looks like Yume actually might be making the play that I would make. I would actually hit up Ice Palace just on the sole fact that they have a big key and a small key. That will be able to full clear ice, and it'll give access to all the items that are a very quick way to get all the items anyway.
Meanwhile, Demon, I think, is making the play that I would make, Dark Death Mountain, and then seeing what the intel is to get to Turtle Rock, because it is clearable right now with the big key and 1 key there. Well, I mean, hang on. I'm miscounting keys, aren't I?
Yes, I think you need at least 3 small keys to finish Turtle Rock.
Hey, it's a gamble, you know.
Right. Now, there could be vanilla small keys, and there's still the Dark Death Mountain. We still have to check, so there could still be something there.
Absolutely. Demon looks like he's going to be routing in maybe Spike Cave, but also checking to see what's over here on Ether Tablet as well. So trying to route as many of these things together to minimize having to come back up again.
Mm-hmm. We have our first Palace of Darkness small key. An Ice Palace.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, I've learned a lesson here. Don't go into pod unless you have at least one small key.
But see, even with 5 chests available, from a lot of these races I've watched, there just seems to be value in pod. And oh, well, we got a Desert Palace key inside Spite Cave.
Oh man, and that blocks 2 chests. Oh man.
Oh yeah, and Demon forgetting, but again, it's kind of hard in that particular location he was at. Yeah, once you beat Agahnim and if you have the mirror, you'll start from the pyramid if you save and quit in Dark World.
I'm a little surprised he... Oh, well, he did save and quit. Okay, right. So if Yume had done Spite Cave, that would have pointed an even bigger, bright, flashing red light to Desert Palace if he didn't already end up going there, but... If something's in that room, man, oh man.
Mm.
So we'll see. Yume has only opened 1 treasure chest, but getting ready to really find a lot of kind of clumped together treasure chests at this point. We'll see what ends up happening.
And yeah, this is why I like coming here with at least 1 small key, because you can go over here immediately, get these 3 chests that are kind of in this little secluded area, go back, get the big chest and the chest above it, and then just kind of swing around, get that 1 chest, and go right down to the boss. So it's definitely more efficient when you have just 1 key. If you have 0, it's still possible, but you have to kind of do just like this very awkward loop around the dungeon.
No, I agree. I'm a fan. Oh, and Demon sees the big key that's still sitting up on that floating island that we have no idea what it is.
That will definitely be on his mind, I'm sure. Gonna immediately see what the medallion requirement is going to be for Turtle Rock, while Yume picks up a small key to Turtle Rock.
It's Quake, so Turtle Rock is open at this point in time. But he doesn't have the magic!
Ooh, okay, well thankfully it will require another light to Dark World transition, but there is some magic in this cave over here to the right of where Demon is, so he can refill that magic meter pretty simply.
And another pod small key.
Now we're getting them. It just required an Eastern Palace completion first.
Okay, 2.
3. I was hoping for all 4.
That would be something, wouldn't it? Oh, and green mail. That's nice to see.
I have to admit, I do like the blue shading on Vitreous for the blue mail. That looks really nice.
It really does. All right, Yume swinging around, gonna get this other treasure chest. We haven't found a whole lot here at Eastern, except for the small key to Swamp Palace.
Ooh.
And the big key to Misery Mire is the one floating on there, and that is a crystal dungeon, so that was required.
Ooh, okay.
Yume swinging over here, going to try to pick up some magic refill. Don't know if Yume remembers has magic refill available if they want to. And yes, Ice Palace is one of 2 dungeons that we do not know what it is. So if this ends up being the pendant, I mean, if it's the pendant of the crystal, no matter what, after this fight that Yume has, we'll know for sure. And if it is the pendant, we might see a pedestal pull or pedal check because they'll have all 3.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Using that green potion that they got from Palace of Darkness to get some extra magic in, and takes down Cold Stare relatively fast, considering the... gets the flute.
And it's a crystal!
Okay, so with that information, we do know that the last pendant dungeon is going to be Desert Palace, and we're only a big key away from clearing that, so... that could still come up. Pedestal could still happen.
The ped is not dead.
Exactly.
But that flute's going to be significant. That opens up the mire area. Demon did find the big mire key up there on Spectacle Rock, so in the floating island. So we know how to beat it. We can get there. But man, that would be rough. Master Sword, Vitreous? No, thank you.
At least they have like the bow and a lot of arrows at the very least, so it's not too bad.
Oh, there are worse Vitreous fights, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So Demon looks like he's going over here. Might be doing a peg cave check?
Maybe just the whole blacksmith side quest in general with all the other locations in between.
Oh yeah, and he never checked Sick Kid. There's a lot of these kind of one-off locations that Demon did not check while Yume was running around. So, getting caught up here. Meanwhile, Yume does release the duck. And going right to Mire.
I do like the duck is a muck that was said in chat. That's pretty good.
The duck is a muck. Well done.
Yes, HJ57. Cold Stare did drop the flute, so that is why YumeTsubasaCH is in here. Ether for the mire, so we still need to find another medallion.
Oh my. That's cold-hearted right there. The small key to Tower of Hera, so another fetch quest up Death Mountain, which would be horrible, but Tempered Sword, which is nice. Just a piece of heart and checkerboard cave. Now Demon's going to be turning in our first Jeremiah check, and it is just rupees.
And he hasn't checked match bad either, so we'll see what this is as well. Oh, YumeTsubasaCH has Tempered Sword, by the way.
Yep, that tempered was right next to the Hera small key.
Okay. I may have blanked on that because I was reading chat. My bad.
Nope, no problem. Yume does look like he is heading right down to Swamp Palace using that small key that he picked up in Ice Palace. So following the logic here. Demon also picking up the lunchbox. Going to not be able to do this as efficiently as Yume will be able to do with the flute, But we'll also be able to check some of these South Hyrule. I'm not sure if Demon actually checked some of these locations.
Yeah, I don't think he did either, honestly, so...
All right, so Yume, there's a lot of treasure chests here in Swamp Palace, so it'll be interesting to see what Yume finds. Demon also pulling the purple treasure chest to see what we have, and it's just a heart. Aww.
I don't know if it's just me, but it always seems like whenever I go to Swamp Palace, under the notion that it has so many chests to get items, it doesn't usually have anything whenever I check for stuff in here.
You're not the only one that happens to. I'm sure it happens to other people like me.
But almost consistently, anyway. I don't know. Sometimes, if I don't have the mitts yet, usually the mitts are in here, but I just never find value, really, in Swamp Palace at all.
Well, it does require quite a few items to get here, and those items being locked behind other items can certainly play into that.
That's very true.
So Demon, rerouting over here, going to check to see if Spike Cave was an actually good gamble or not. 2 treasure locations here, even though can't clear the dungeon. So first one, not great. Yume pulling another pod small key, so has 3. Nope. Demon did not find anything worthwhile.
I know it's not what people like to hear when they play Randomizer, but he might need to head over to Ice Palace.
Yep, that is the play at this point in time. He's kind of strategically avoiding Pod. He does have 2 keys to Pod. But if Demon kind of follows Yume's routing at this point in time, we'll be right back into the thick of things, I think.
Mm-hmm. And he will get his 3rd pod key while he's here, too. And if he keeps following Yume, we'll have a 4th one not too long after. So he is getting together those pod keys at the very least.
Hey, Aaron Dobby shouting out, "Don't bully Ice Palace." I'm not bullying Ice Palace. I'm just demeaning it.
I mean, I'm with Aaron on this. I think it's a good play, but it just seems like a lot of runners will tend to avoid it just because of the nature of this dungeon. It's a long, linear dungeon. If you die, you have to go all the way back to the beginning. There's ice physics, and no one likes ice physics, so I understand frustrations, but in randos, sometimes you have to make that play.
Yeah, I'm one of those runners that absolutely avoids it if I can. It's my weakness. I admit it. So far, nothing doing in Swamp Palace for Yume, other than that pod key. And Yume is about to come up on several chest locations that we will be checking with him shortly. And this is something I'm kind of interested in seeing because Demon setting up a bomb jump without a shadow here and the Ice Palace bomb jump. Or not.
I can kind of understand just because he does have the Canis Samaria, so if he goes straight down, it shouldn't be too bad. And he'll get plenty of small keys from this little adventure, so doesn't really need the bomb jump in this case.
Yume finding a whole lot of bupkis so far in Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I'm honestly not surprised at that. Might be personal bias, but I am just not surprised by that at all.
Oh, and Yume getting trolled a little bit here.
Ooh, there's that. Oh yeah, there was a Turtle Rock small key in here too, and that's actually Demon's third, and Yume also has 3, and 3 is a very important number because that is actually enough to finish up Turtle Rock.
Alright, so Yume finishes up Cold Stare, or Argus, I'm sorry. Thinking Ice Palace again. So Yume didn't find a ton there in Swamp Palace, but picks up another crystal. So we are a, let me see, Pod, Misery Mire, and Turtle Rock. So we have 3 dungeons left. We do not have Ether Medallion, which is required for Misery Mire, unfortunately. So that is completely shut out to us. Pod, we do have some more keys now, although Yume has not gone up to Dark Death Mountain to get the 2 keys from Pod that are in Hookshot Cave. So waiting on Yume to do that. If there's nothing else, if Yume does not go to Pod with the 2 keys, he might head up to Turtle Rock because he has 3 keys. He can clear it as far as he knows.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this seed right now is that the 2 main things that we need to find is the Ether Medallion to get into Mire, and we need the big key to Pod to finish Pod. Those are the 2 main things. Now, because of Keysanity and all the key logic that goes into it, we might need the final Turtle Rock small key, probably not, but that may be a requirement. And we might need some more Pod keys too, because there could always be items in Pod, but that's kind of what we're looking at for Go mode right now. It's really just the Ether Medallion, big key to Pod, and then maybe a few small keys if necessary.
Yep, otherwise we are good to go. Runners are also going to be on the lookout. We know where another sword upgrade is for Demon. Tempered Sword, I think they're happy with, but of course those ever-elusive silvers and the boots are always just kind of a quality of life upgrade when you're a speedrunner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Demon walking manually downstairs. Oh, getting some magic refills here.
Meanwhile, Yume, taking a page from Demon earlier, going to be checking the Dark Death Mountain area. We'll be picking up 2 more Palace of Darkness small keys, which could honestly shift his direction over in that way.
It's possible. It'll be interesting to see if Yume will go ahead and open up Turtle Rock as well on the way up. Remember, Demon did try to open it up, but was out of magic at the time, not knowing. I don't know if he would have actually gone in or not. That would have been interesting at that point in time, though.
Right, right. Anyway, Demon not opting to use any magic yet, or potions, I mean, just going with Master Sword for this, which isn't too bad if you're patient, but those cold stare puffs can be very, very erratic.
Patience is... Excuse me, frog in my throat. Patience is kind of a commodity that I don't know a lot of speedrunners have when they're looking at a possible elimination race.
That's true.
And there's Demon with the kill, gets his flute, and Yume is going to go ahead and open up Turtle Rock.
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to grab these 2 chests in the Super Bunny Cave for Yume. Just a heart piece and 300 rupees. But yeah, that pot that was underneath the chest, I believe, is a full magic pot, so Demon really could have used that earlier to have the magic to open Turtle Rock, but may have just forgotten about that or something, or just been distracted by all of the other items he got, and now Yume's going to jump into the Hookshot Cave to get those 2 small keys. Meanwhile, Demon, what is this little eyeball going to do next?
I imagine he's going to get his flute, his swagged up
right, of course, yeah. What did I not think about?
It's okay. Sometimes just saying it out loud, it's like, oh yeah, that's what it's doing. So Yume is going to pick up, this is the Misery Mire Big Key. So we're still missing that pod key, pod big key, which could be on the pedestal, as far as we know.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Another play I'm actually wondering about is we did pick up a small key to Tower of Hera in the mix of things, so there is a chest available over there now.
Yep, I believe Demon is getting ready to pick that one up, and Yume is going to make the dive.
Okay, Demon gets his Tempered Sword and his Tower of Hera small key.
Just a little bit of love in this first treasure chest for Yume. I am still waiting to see a run, and I know it's possible, and I would love to see it. I don't know if it's possible here in this run, but it could be. The Vanilla Big Key location. For Turtle Rock.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I would love to see something required there, because so many people skip that particular location because it's a very valuable key for one treasure chest.
I have actually seen a couple of races where that was a very important location, and I think it is a location that you don't necessarily want to kind of just skip entirely. I feel like a case like this, because you are so close to go mode and you have a couple of dungeons you can still look through, it's not necessarily a bad idea to skip it, because chances are your opponent will probably skip it as well. But if you still have a long way to go, and there's still a lot of items you need, I say go ahead and check that chest, even if it seems risky enough, and that like you'll have to go out in the world and find the last small key, just because you never know what that chest is going to have.
All right, so Demon, getting ready to dive into Swamp Palace as well. Again, Crystal required to clear. Don't think we found anything here, so except a pod key. So
yeah, runners are definitely finally getting those pod keys taken care of. It took a while, but we got them at some point.
Eventually.
Okay, he's gonna skip it.
No, smart play. I know most runners end up skipping this, especially in Keysanity, when they're this close at this point in time. If they have to double back for it, you just assume your opponent probably also is going to have to double back for it as well.
Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is, I think there was a small key in Pod for Turtle Rock, which Demon hasn't been in yet, so I think all 4 Turtle Rock keys have been found at this point. So because of that, that chest could have very well been the Ether Medallion, because that's not going to be required for completion of this dungeon, but it could have been required for a completion of a different dungeon, so I guess there could be something in that chest, but odds are it's... honestly, there's a lot of other locations where the items could be still.
Well, I'm showing they're both at 3 keys, so where is the key that Yume got? Or where's the difference there?
I don't know. I thought I saw someone say that one of the keys was in Pod. But maybe not. There's the Butter Sword in Mimic Cave.
Hey, Butter Sword, Mimic Cave, that's a nice pickup there.
Oh, Desert Palace.
Right, okay. Okay, so desert, 1 in desert, 1 in pod. Okay.
Yeah, because Yume didn't get that desert small key yet, so... That's right, that's right.
That's all coming together now. So it is, from a logic perspective, possible that something is in there like the Ether Medallion, which would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Well, pod key number 5.
That might be pointing us towards pod if something's there, but wow.
Yeah, we still don't have that big key for pod, but could be a vanilla big key for all we know.
I was going to say, I don't think we have anything vanilla up to this point in time. I think everything has been off, so just waiting for that last one. That sentence made no sense in my mind.
I gotcha, don't worry.
Apologies, everyone. Sorry.
Okay, probably one of the most valuable rooms in Turtle Rock. We have the laser bridge. What do we have today on this bridge of death? The Ether Medallion.
Well, okay then.
So I think at this point, if Yume gets a big key to pod, Yume's in go mode. I think that's all that we need at this point.
Yep, big key to pod is all we're missing. The ped is not dead, but it is mostly dead.
Yeah, they could try to stick the big key to pod on pedestal. That is a possibility. But we'd have to get that big key to desert first.
Yeah, if you're Yume right now, you're hoping that the next big key you find will say pod and not desert. Because if it is desert, it just increases the likelihood that it's not where you want it to be.
And at this point for Yume, I would suggest maybe taking the gamble on pod anyway, because at that point there's a lot of chests in there. It could easily be vanilla, and I think that'd just be a strong play right now, because that's your biggest chance at the moment. I guess it could also be in Mire. But go moding Mire in Keysanity is really, really fast, so you may want to think about using that to your advantage if possible.
No, I'm with you on that one. And as soon as you get that pod key, you can just skip everything else if it happens to be in pod. Go moding Misery Mire is super fast, especially if you already have the keys necessary going in. If you have to check all those treasure chests, especially with that cutscene there, I think you make a good point. Avoid it if you can. Start with pod.
And yeah, I mean, pod go mode is also pretty fast. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's just... I feel like it'd be a more strategic play to maybe go check vanilla first. And again, strategic could be wrong. So Mire might seem like the obvious play, but it's hard to call in these races.
The question in chat is, how did Demon get so far behind? I don't know if it's a behind per se. He had caught up because he got to bypass quite a few of the other locations that Yume had already checked, but he eventually had to check them because they're still looking for items. So a couple deaths, a couple I wouldn't even call them routing errors, but definitely gambles. And that was only the difference.
Yeah, it seemed like Ice Palace definitely led to more overall progression at the end of the day. So Yume choosing that over Demon going to Dark Death Mountain, that I think gave Yume a little more time to work with here.
Absolutely. So Yume is eschewing your guidance slim and instead going to Misery Mire.
At the end of the day, I think both plays make sense in their own rights, because chat did make a good point. It does avoid an extra dip in the pod, and Yume's already been in pod before. But still, like, again, it's like you got to think along more in different lines for these races, because this does seem like the obvious play, but your opponent, if there's the obvious play, your opponent could potentially do that too. So I'm just trying to think about from different perspectives, I suppose.
Meanwhile, Demon is going to be making his first dip into pod. 4 keys, still no big key, but it seems like a pretty solid play considering he has 4 keys.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be able to check to see at least a few locations and if that big key is going to be there.
And I am actually kind of curious about the potential routing strats for Mire that Yume will be using, because I know that in Keysanity, routing Misery Mire, especially in kind of not really go mode but full clear mode, has gotten a lot of discussion in this tournament, because there is a pretty fast way you can go, and with that one small key, Yume will be able to go to the left side, get all these, and then immediately just focus on the right side, and then go straight up to Vitreous.
I love the fact that, you know, with a new game mode, all of a sudden we have vastly different routing decisions that can be made. Going this full left side first and then being able to route in, hookshotting over across the ledge to get the one kind of oddball treasure chest that used to be the first one you got in Misery Mire.
Yeah, that's right, because the whole thing about routing this in open and standard is just the fact that you have to go right first to get a key. And, okay, we have half magic in Misery Mire. But yeah, getting that small key before you can come in here opens up a lot of new possibilities for this dungeon.
All right, so we're getting ready to see what's on the big treasure chest, and then a couple, or at least one small treasure, and desert.
Ooh. Oh, okay, Yume knows what that could mean. Because that will unlock the pendant for Desert Palace.
That was a lot of rage flashes right there.
Yeah.
That is absolutely something you did not want to see. So pedestal hype is still, ladies and gentlemen, very much alive.
And there's still another big key that's unaccounted for. We don't have the Skullwoods, or big key. We don't have the Skullwoods big key either.
And we're now at the point with Demon where he is trying to save his keys, but we're almost to the point there where he's kind of picking up the chest that we don't see, so we'll be keeping a second eye on Demon's screen as well.
Right. Sapphire Clow, Agahnim hid Dark World access. They still don't have the boots, so they can't get what's on the Lumberjack.
Small key to Skullwoods, the most worthless of keys.
Especially right now, when it's already been completed. Oh! Big
Eastern
key.
Palace big key! Oh, wow!
You mean Pod?
Yeah, Eastern.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the same, it's just parallel version.
But yeah, that's significant there for Demon.
So, I guess Pod was the play, guys.
What's worse is that big key for Desert might point Yume in a very different direction.
That's very true, yeah. Like, and that's the reason why I said, like, that could be the thing, because what's more trolly than vanilla? In Randomizer, when Pod already gives out a lot of stuff in Keysanity as it is, it just seemed like Pod was the answer.
And Demon is looking at it. You're in go mode, buddy.
He doesn't have Ether yet, so he's not.
Oh, right. He's looking for Ether. I mean, we know where it's at.
We do. He does not.
That's unfortunate. Oh, he could be go moding everything right at the moment.
So this race will basically depend on what Yume decides to do after this. I imagine a desert check will happen and potentially pedestal after that. But after that, like, I still think that Pod would be very likely. So I think Yume still has a technical advantage. Once Yume goes to Pod, we know that Yume is going to be fine. Like, he'll find it. He'll find the big key he needs. So still has the advantage. It really just depends on how both runners do this next part of the run.
Demon is trying to set up this hammer yump and is struggling here. He's doing what he can to save that last key. And yes, the last pod key was on Vitreous, so Yume is going to take a second, go up here, check to see what is on the pedestal.
I don't know if I would have made this check. I think I would have just gone straight for desert, because if it was something, I mean, Lamno and the big chest could have something, but, you know, their call, their call.
Well, keep in mind, Yume also does not have the Desert Palace small key as well.
Oh, that's true, that's true.
So what is on the pedestal? It is really, now you know where the boss hides. It's a compass.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Yume knows Desert probably doesn't have anything. Just go on over to Pod.
Okay.
Or not. Pyramid Fairy. Because we have the 5 and 6 crystals. Oh, we found silvers? Demon found silvers?
Silvers and Pod. That's another advantage, because Yume would probably get the big key before getting silvers and would continue on. That'll make Demon's Ganon fight a little faster.
That being said, Demon is also both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock behind.
Right.
Yeah,
he's definitely spending a lot of time in Pod checking all these chests. So that's why I said earlier the advantage is still probably in Yume's favor, just due to having more crystals done at the moment. Demon just needs to go to Turtle Rock immediately.
All right, so Yume is going to be able to check, still kind of hunting for that key. Oh, the small key to Thieves Town.
Small key to Thieves Town, that could be even more distractions.
Yep, there are several distraction locations for Yume at this point in time right now. We have Tower of Hera, small key location. We have Thieves Town, small key location. Oh, okay. And Demon. Demon's going to spend his last key. He's not going to be able to clear out Pod.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. And yeah, he won't be able to until he beats Vitreous, because that's where the last key actually was. And Yume is going straight to Pod.
Oh, Demon. Demon.
It's always interesting commentating these races and just like trying to think, if only the runners knew what we saw, like all these things that we're just kind of shrugging our heads at. They have no idea. They, like, at the time, they think this is a good play, and that's, you know, logical for them to think that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's difficult to fault Demon for making that, because anything could be in those treasure chests, and we've all seen runners lose runs because they haven't checked things like that. So it's really hard to argue that, especially when he picks up the shovel.
Yeah, and another big point of contention, especially for this dungeon, is the whole thing with the Palace of Darkness softlock, because he doesn't know where Ether is. So if that other chest that he skipped turned out to be Ether, he couldn't have finished the run, because the last small key would have been on Vitreous. So by using that key, he's assuring he's getting all the items and not running into that potential problem.
Yeah, that potential soft lock for these runners, I mean, it's always in the back of everyone's mind when you're running through here, knowing that if I just do it a little bit wrong, I mean, it's kind of the same philosophy of sequence breaking. It's a risk that you use, and you might lose yourself, but it's a risk of, oh, I might not be able to complete my run, sort of risk.
And there's go mode for YumeTsubasa.
Meanwhile, Demon going up, checking this Tower of Hera basement. Probably on his way over to Turtle Rock here shortly. Just to clarify, because there are some questions in chat about it. It's not that pod locks itself once you've beaten it. It's that it's possible so that, say, the vanilla big key location. Say you beat pod, but there isn't, you use up all of your keys, but there is an item on the vanilla big key location that you did not get. Where it will say, for sake of argument, hookshot. You could clear everything out, and if the last pod key is locked behind hookshot, you can't complete the run.
Right. So yeah, that's the reason why Demon went ahead, instead of going straight to Helmasaur and finishing the dungeon, got that last chest location. Because he had no idea where the Ether Medallion's going to be, and if that last item ended up being Ether, and he went to Helmasaur instead, he'd be locked out of completing the game, because we know the last small key was on Vitreous. But that did not happen in this run, so that would not be the case, but the runners do not know that. We know it, but they don't.
Yeah, and that's playing in the back of everyone's minds when they're running, so exactly. I can absolutely understand Demon's perspective here and wanting to make sure he does not get soft-locked.
And that logic is being worked on. It should be fixed for the most part in the next version of the logic, but it is still being fixed at this current time. Pod is just a very tricky dungeon to work with. Just because of the key nightmare that it is.
It will be absolutely interesting to see, because the key logic in Pod has always kind of been tricky. We remember just a couple versions ago when the bow could absolutely not be in Pod. So if you went into Pod without the bow, you likely weren't going to find any progression for most of Pod. Now they fixed some logic, and then Keysanity re-breaks some things. So it's just a nightmare. And the people who do the programming know far more than I do about it. It will be interesting to see what the key logic ends up being and how it impacts once that fix goes through. I don't know if that will increase the value of Pod, decrease it, increase values of other things. We don't know.
That's true. One thing we do know, though, YumeTsubasa has all 7 crystals. Going to go straight for Ganon's Tower now, and will be finishing this run relatively soon. Ganon's Tower, very, very fast in Keysanity, especially when you get all those keys beforehand, so you don't actually have to dive through any of the dungeon otherwise.
Yep, no big key guessing game. We know exactly where it's at. It was in the C-shaped house, which people are telling me is not the C-shaped house, it's the G-shaped house, or some other pixelated house, or I'll just call it C-shaped house.
If it was the G-shaped house, it makes sense in this run, because it had the key to Ganon's Tower, so...
Hey!
But no, it's definitely a C.
Alright, so Yume, on his way over to Ganon's Tower, definitely at this point safely in the lead. Demon has both Turtle Rock and Misery Mire to complete, although we'll be able to go mode Misery Mire, which is nice. And these horrible, horrible chain chomps are trolling Demon a little bit. Hey, Slim.
Yes.
This is the part of the run where I always have no idea what to talk about.
Yes, that goes for me too. So, I guess in the meantime, one thing we could do is just kind of run down some future Keysanity matches that are coming up later today. There's not as many as there were yesterday, or there will be tomorrow, but there are definitely some matches coming up. In fact, we have 3 quad races tonight on A Link to the Past Randomizer 1, 2, and 3. So 3 races, 4 racers for each race going on. So if you want to check those out, those going to be happening at 8 p.m. on all 3 of those channels. We got another quad race later tonight at 9 p.m. on Speed Gaming 1, the original Speed Gaming channel. We got another quad on 10 o'clock on Speed Gaming 4. And we also have a match at 11, not a quad, just a single 1 versus 1 match like this one, at 11 on A Link to the Past Randomizer 1. So, yes, a lot of rando tonight, so if you're interested and need something to watch, definitely check them out. A lot of individuals for this tournament are making sure we get all of these matches restreamed for you guys, because there's a lot we have to do in a 1-week period of time. So definitely give a check for those matches. And yes, they are all Eastern Standard Time, so always be at Eastern Time for this tournament.
Absolutely. And yeah, we have lots of action going on tomorrow as well. I mean, I'm counting the races. Oh my goodness. Both your wonderful commentators here, by the way, are both racing tomorrow, so plug.
And speaking of plugs, may as well also give a shout out to our good friend Dragon Strike 1988 for being our tracker for this particular match. I always like to shout out trackers because without them, I feel like commentators would be very, very, very lost in these matches. There's only so much we can see at one time, and trackers try to keep track of everything so we don't miss those item checks, so we don't miss those map checks. And it's really, really nice to have them along, so we really appreciate what they do, not only for us, but also for the viewers as well, since they can also help viewers kind of pay attention to what's going on in these races and kind of minimize the need for the which racer is ahead question.
Absolutely. Yeah, their trackers are not even the unsung heroes. They are the heroes of Randomizer. So big shout out to all of them and all the work they do.
For sure. But yeah, Yume working through the Ganon's Tower gauntlets. Unfortunately, takes a drop right there. This room can sometimes be tricky, especially without the boots. And yeah, this will be a bootless seed from the look of it. So,
you think those boots were in GT?
I think at this point, yeah, they kind of have to be, because we did see all of Pod. And pretty much we saw all of Desert except those 2 last chests. So I think that, yeah, most likely the boots are in Ganon's Tower here.
Demon is about to finally be in his go mode. I'm sure he will be happy about it once he gets there.
Yeah, I just hope he checks the top before he checks the bottom, because he will not have to waste as much magic that way. Thankfully he does. He knows that that's what he needs. But he's still checking stuff. Is there another item he's missing? Or
I don't think so. I don't know if he realizes that's his go mode.
Yeah, I don't think he realizes. Oh, you know what? He needs another pod small key. That's right.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's right. Yeah, he does need one of those. So yeah, he will be checking these. And unfortunately, he'll probably be checking most of Meyer too because of the.
Well, I believe the last one. Oh, the last one was on Vitreous.
Right.
Oh my god. Oh, Demon.
He got his. Oh, so, wait, he got another one? No, because he didn't make the hammer jump. He didn't make the hammer jump.
No, he tried to and then gave up.
So no, he needs all the keys. He used all 5 of his, so he does need the last one on Vitreous. Or maybe he didn't use the front door. I don't remember anymore.
I just remember him not going in the back and not having his last key. So I mean, if there was one in Turtle Rock, then he's good to go at this point in time. Yeah, because Yume has 6 and okay, so.
Okay, yeah, I see. He does have 1. Okay, thank you, chat, for reminding me of that.
Meanwhile, Yume, very clean. I blinked and missed the Aga kill.
Yeah, he got through there pretty quickly, gotta admit. Seemed like the only issue was that conveyor belt hallway.
The only thing that Yume is missing is those silvers, which we know where they're at in Pod, but rightfully so, Yume decided, I got the big key, go mode. So Demon getting ready to flute away and over to the Meyer area, I believe.
Yep, that seems to be the play. Yeah, because he has the medallion. So, or no, he goes to Pod.
Yeah, he's gonna finish up that Pod play.
At this point, since he is in go mode, yeah, either way could have worked. No, YumeTsubasaCH unfortunately did not pick up the silver arrows because he didn't need to since he was in go mode in Pod. So he is going to have to use these silverless strats here. Basically, Ganon's going to go to one corner of the room, shoot his fire bats at you, and then in that one instant before he warps away, you can actually spin attack and do damage to him. And this is how you actually do damage to him without the silver arrows.
Yeah, it's not an easy trick by any means, and most speedrunners have to have quite a bit of practice to be able to do it consistently. Not worried about either Yume or Demon being able to do it, of course. I'm not a fan personally. And we do have the death of the Big Pig. YumeTsubasaCH finishing. We'll give the time as soon as he crosses the bridge. An official time of 2 hours, 13 minutes, 26 seconds. GG Yume.
Yes, GG indeed. Definitely, it was a 2 hour and 13 minute seed, which is very, very common in Keysanity. It's, you know, getting a run under 2 hours is impressive as it is, and honestly, getting a time of this nature is very, very common just because of all the item blocks and the item walls you have to get through in Keysanity mode. So very, very well done, because there was quite a bit of work that needed to be done to finish this seed.
Yeah, I mean, let's count. I mean, how many trips up Death Mountain did you may have to make at one point in time? And it really kind of narrowed down to a bottleneck at least 2 separate times. The first time trying to get access to go to the Dark World for the Agahnim Tower play. And then the second one, trying to figure out, okay, where was progression to get the Titansmiths?
That's right. There was definitely that that very interesting quest that led into that Titansmith. And, you know, getting the Titansmith, that was when things were really, really close between the two runners. And that was a really, really interesting part of the race. But then once again, different paths opened up, and then it came down to which path was the correct one. And unfortunately, for Demon anyway, Yume picked the right way to go and went to Ice Palace, got that continued progression, didn't worry about Pod until he absolutely had to, and then was able to kind of get that victory here.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, this is little better than a coin flip between Yume and Demon for some of the choices that they made. It could have gone either way for those choices. So GG to Yume and GG to Demon, who is in go mode. Hope he realizes.
Yeah, I think that it's maybe starting to dawn on him right now that he is. Because once he gets to Mire and notices, oh, I have the big key, I can just go straight there, he probably will. But yeah, a lot of these races will be determined by, and again, it's kind of a weird thing to say. It does seem like there'll be a coin flip sometimes, and in this case, I'd say it was, because really both runners have shown really excellent execution, so they've done a really great job.
Absolutely. So Demon finishes that. Helmasaur off to Misery Mire in the meantime.
Well, it looks like we do have YumeTsubasa in the waiting room. Let's go ahead and bring him in. YumeTsubasa, welcome. GG. Congratulations on finishing that run and taking your victory in this race.
Hello, guys. Oh, sorry. I had Discord muted again. I hate it. Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, GG. Congratulations on your run.
GG. My god. So, I did a seed prior to this, like 4 hours before we started. I started that one. I got boots in validation chest. This one was entirely bootless, so I played like 4.5 hours of Keysanity without boots today.
Oof.
Yeah, that sounds painful. How you holding up?
Well, my left thumb is a little bit borked, but the rest is okay, I guess.
We were kind of concerned there for a while because it seemed like the race narrowed down to 2 real choke points. It was as soon as you got the second castle tower key to do Agahnim to get your Dark World access, and then as soon as you got the Titansmiths, and that's when it really started opening up. But otherwise, it was just those 2 choke points.
Yeah, up to these 2 points, it was relatively linear. I mean, you mostly had stuff to do, but by now I'm used to if you can go into a castle tower and if you get like 1 key really early, you are kind of bound to have that you have to do Aga 1 in the end. That is from like the last 5 or 6 seeds I played, the 3rd time that I actually had to do Aga 1.
Wow, and that's actually kind of surprising considering like just the fact that you need like way more requirements to even get to Agahnim 1. And just like, yeah, it's interesting to see it a lot in Keysanity because it doesn't seem like it usually is the case.
Yeah, I kind of was joking with a friend of mine, Randomizer, about that at some point. He still hasn't had an Aga 1 required Keysanity seed, and when we talked about it, that was like 1.5 weeks ago. After that, I actually started to get all these Aga 1 required seeds.
Wow, that's funny.
So you may tell me what was going through your mind when you're still searching for that Palace of Darkness big key. And I know the pedestal was in the back of your mind, and you pulled the Desert Palace big key there in Misery Mire. I mean, we saw some frustration slashes, obviously, but what was going through your mind there?
Yeah, I mean, right after doing Mire, I went and checked what pedestal actually is, because yeah, that big key for desert was like, it's like a 50-50 chance that I have to go there, do overworld, other stuff, or it's in pods. So I checked that, and after that I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna hop into pod and hope for the best. And yeah, I mean, it worked out in the end.
Yeah, we had found Demon had actually dipped into there just before you had, and he had a few more keys. He didn't do the first dip that you did, so we knew that the key was there, and we were like, okay, he's going that way. Kind of an unfortunate thing is that Demon ended up going, he full cleared it, so he didn't have the key from Turtle Rock quite yet, which means he couldn't beat Helmasaur on his first trip.
Yeah, that hurts, of course.
Well, and we figured it was just trying to avoid that soft lock that was going through, but...
Yeah, I mean, so did I, and honestly, I kind of tried to dodge pod. I'd rather go into T-Rock than dipping pods with the experiences that I've made in Keysanity up to now.
Well, that decision definitely worked in this seed, because, yeah, you definitely had the Ether Medallion way before Demon had, for sure, so that definitely gave you an advantage. And literally, like, once you were finished with Turtle Rock, it really came down to, okay, does he go to Palace of Darkness, or does he go to Misery Mire? And I was actually kind of hoping for the pod play, because it seems like Palace of Darkness just always seems to have something big in Keysanity. And in your first visit, you got literally nothing because you were just checking the 0 key locations at that point. And it just seemed like, okay, pod had to pay off at some point. And then while you were finishing up Mire, I believe that's when Demon went over to Palace of Darkness, and then he found that big key. So then whenever you got like an additional item, like the Desert Palace big key, and you even found the Thieves' Town small key, we were like, oh no, we hope he goes to pod at some point, because that's where the game wants him to go. But it literally kept adding items to your equipment just to push you in other directions. So it was good that you did eventually pick pod before those one-off locations.
Yeah, the thing is, I dodged locations like T-Rock that I couldn't quite finish or couldn't quite do a lot of stuff in so many times. So I know, like, once or twice per Keysanity seed, I just have to be ballsy, just go and do something, even though I really don't like to do it. And yeah, this time it was going into pod again, because, well, I had all of the small keys, so I could be wasteful with that at least. So I think it wasn't a bad decision there, because all the other locations were like 2 items at best, and pod had still like 7 items for me, I say.
Yeah, at that point it would have been 7.
So yeah, I usually go for whatever location in the end has the best rate of success, meaning, well, the most items left, and pod usually comes into play with that thinking at some point anyways.
Right.
So it's not like I'm trying to 100% dodge pod, but there are points where I think it's worth it to go there, and points where I think, well, let's do the other stuff that we actually can do or finish. Like in this seed, let's go to T-Rock, let's go to Mire, and yeah. Like we saw, it paid off in the end. It could have gone the other way, certainly.
Yeah, for sure. With Randomizer, you literally never know. Like, again, in a different seed, both of you could have had a much different result based on the decisions that the other person made. And another big branching point was when you guys found the Mitts, you were actually really, really close. I think Demon was just like a few seconds ahead at that point. But then it kind of changed things around because you went to Ice Palace, which was the correct play because it did have the flute and, you know, some other small keys here and there. While Demon went to Dark Death Mountain, and I think that in the end you got a little more value out of your trip because you kind of got the further progression at that point.
Yeah, I actually had the big key for Ice Palace and the small key, so it was relatively fast to clear anyways. And at that point, I'd prefer going for a dungeon that I can full clear than doing Overworld. Otherwise, I usually prefer doing Overworld when I'm a little bit stuck and not 100% sure what exactly I should do. Because usually I find the answer what I should do on that trip somewhere.
Right.
Yeah. As long as there are dungeons to finish, just always do them.
Yeah, that's a very good way of thinking for sure.
And Demon is pointed something out while he's doing his gauntlet right now, something that I think really helped both of you guys out. The stun prize pack being fairies. How often did you take advantage of that? Because he's just eating them up right at the moment.
I can't really remember. I'm sure I used it like 2 or 3 times, 100% sure. I don't think it's that much more, I guess at most 5 times, but yeah, I found it out relatively early with, sorry, with actually stunning the crab on the way to Ice Rod Cave, and yeah, it's a good thing to know that if you get low on health, you can just stun something. Especially with getting the first boomerang like in the first 3 minutes or so. And when did we actually get the hook shot? I guess like in the first 15 minutes or something like that. So yeah, it's always good to know what the stun prize is. So if you get an easy and fast opportunity to check that, that's always a thing to do as well.
For sure. Yeah, I believe the hook shot was the in the waterfall cave, I believe, if I remember correctly. The waterfall ferry, anyway.
Yeah, right. I got that relatively late because I did Hera first instead of fake flippering. Because I really hate to do fake flippers when I don't have the Moon Pearl, and well, when they are at Hobo, it's like, okay.
Yeah, that was what was interesting. Demon actually opted to try the fake flipper strats, but unfortunately died in the Zora area before he could get anything from it, and didn't even check the Hobo. So at the time, yeah, fake flippering actually would have been worth it because you would have gotten the Moon Pearl, and then you could have gotten what was in the waterfall cave right after that because you had the Moon Pearl at that point.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, it was convenient for people who would try it, but on the other hand, I don't really know. Well, we were never really short on money. I mean, we had the 300 at the race game right off the bat. We had the crabs that gave you 20 rupees. So early Sora would have been something to consider for sure. But still, it's only 2 items and knowledge about 1 item if you don't have the Moon Pearl, so...
Yeah.
I really don't like to do that, actually.
Well, hey, at the same, like, I mean, to your credit, Demon doing it did cost him some extra time because he did end up dying, and that is always the risk you take, where if you do die, you either have to, like, just abandon that plan or set it up again, which takes even more time, so... You know, you played it safe and it worked, so that's all that really matters, I'd say, at this point.
Well, as much as you can play it safe and...
Fair enough.
Keysanity, I guess.
Yeah, fair. Very fair. We are seeing, we were seeing some Swaganim net strats in the Aga 2 fight from Demon right now.
Yeah, it looks like he's opted against it. He's running a little bit low on health. Gets a A really nice triple setup there, though.
I think he only got 2 from that, though, 'cause it seemed like only 2 of the hits landed.
Yeah, this is kind of a... I blinked at your Aga 2 fight, and it feels like I missed it. Your Aga 2 went super fast.
Yeah, it was decent, honestly. It was very decent. Though, at the start I failed a little bit, but I guess after the first or second cycle, the rest was pretty good, yeah.
Okay, so Demon is on his way into the Ganon fight. His fight will be a little faster. He did find the silver arrows inside Palace of Darkness in the Dark Maze, but still, again, silverless with gold sword is fast too, so should be relatively easy fights for both runners. But he does take a death. Might just be resetting his health, honestly, which would be a good thing to do at this point.
He never found half magic though? I forgot where that was, actually.
I think that was in Mire. I think it was the big key chest in Mire, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and since Demon had... I mean, his go mode item was earlier than that, he didn't have to search anything in Mire. He went in there and cleared it first time. I think Ether was actually his go mode item.
Yeah, it was.
Did make a little bit of way around the seat then for getting that as the go mode item. Because yeah, I mean, I could just use the cape at will in this fight. I mean, I also had blue pods left that I picked up before going for the Mafia fights as a safety, where I hesitated for like 5 seconds and was like, should I pick that up now or should I just dodge it? But I thought, well, I mean, I'm there, I have the cape, so why should I not?
Yeah, I think that probably did help. At least you're conscious for the Mothula fight, just because it's always good to have extra magic or something, and especially since it was a blue potion to just have that as on backup in case the moth fight kind of gets away from you.
And GG to Demon RHK getting his Ganon kill.
And he finishes in second place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 32 minutes, and 22 seconds. His comment being, tilted since Ice Rod Cave, which, yeah, that's right. He also did not check Ice Rod Cave early, so he did not have a sword for a good part of the beginning of the run.
Oh, no. That's why you check Ice Rod Cave even if you go for fake flippers. Always do it. Just do it. It's like 9 out of 10 times it is just garbage and you don't need it. But that one time hurts so much.
And joining us now is Demon RHK. GG, sir.
GG, Demon.
Hello. Were you with us? Or are you getting set up still? That's fine. All right. Well, Demon is going to join us as soon as he is able to.
Hello.
There he is. How are you doing, Demon?
I'm here. It was a seat.
Yeah, it definitely was, and from your comments I can immediately tell where exactly you kind of felt like the seed was getting away from you. That fighter's sword in the Ice Rod Cave, huh?
And I gambled on it. Ice Rod doesn't always have something useful. In this case, it did, especially after that made me be my third trek into Agnum's Tower. Second time than first time being without a sword.
Right.
It It wasn't even that though. As soon as I got Moon Pearl off the hobo and then found Hook Shot in the waterfall cave, I said, if Yumi's fake flippered, I am absolutely already out of this race.
Well, he actually didn't, so that did not waste a whole lot of time. Just in general, though, like just with the other routing, he actually kind of avoided Agahnim Tower and the flipper section before he absolutely had to go there, so he still kind of saved a lot of time in the long run. So for a good part of that beginning, you were kind of trailing. You did actually make a huge play when you found Book and immediately went to Desert. You actually were like 5 seconds ahead of Yume at that point. He actually opted to check out the pod area. Was not really rewarded for the 0 key pod chests. And you kind of got ahead getting the Titan's mitts. But then once again, it was just kind of a coin flip situation. You chose to go to Dark Death Mountain while Yume went to Ice Palace, and he kind of found more progression through that channel, and that's kind of what's, I think, ultimately determined this race, and also unfortunately, the whole situation with Pod and using those keys also didn't really help matters either.
No, I've never been good at hammer yum. I've been practicing the last 2 days. I gave it like 6-7 attempts and just said forget it. And then decided I don't want to take the risk of soft locking myself, so I was going to the bridge and was rewarded with yay, Brian.
Right, yeah. I can understand that.
It kind of felt like it. We were discussing it throughout the match. It's like, well, I mean, it makes sense because we knew at that point in time, we knew where you had to go to get the Ether Medallion and things like that. The problem was you didn't, and so we were like, well, you can't really fault him because of that soft lock that's always in the back of all of our minds.
I can't help think how much different this would have been if I would have had that little bit of extra magic the first time I went up and would have been able to open Turtle Rock.
Oh yeah, that's right. I almost forgot about that. Yeah, you had to step away because you did not have the magic.
Yeah, I decided to do Spike Cave instead.
Did you intend to go into Turtle Rock at that point in time and go ahead and clear it out?
I was going to, only because I had the Fire Rod, and I figured I had 4 pretty easily accessible chests, right up front, and then I think I could at least have gotten even out to the chest, the big key chest, as well as Mimic, and the big key itself, the vanilla location for it. So I figured there was a good bit of options in there if I would have dove it, but I just didn't have any extra potions at that time.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's understandable then.
Also, I've never been as happy to have, chickened out and taken a safety as I did getting that blue potion off of Lumber Cave going into Moth.
Well, your opponent did that too, so good call on both of you for that.
But no, it was an interesting seed. It started out really odd, and I probably putzed around and wasted a lot of extra time because I'm just thinking, hey, rupee crabs all over the place.
Yeah, we saw you kind of grind on those red rupee crabs, and that was a good idea because there was a very accessible 300 not too far in, so Zora was pretty much taken care of from the get-go.
And Demon, I'll ask you about this because I definitely saw you several times taking advantage of it. The stun prize pack being fairies, you abused that pretty well, and I loved it.
Oh yeah, I'm sitting here and I hadn't realized it at first until I went into Aga's Tower the last time, and I'm like, man, these fairies dropping all over the place, and then I realized, oh god, that's the stun prize. That's gonna make this CC so easy.
Yeah, and you definitely took use of it, and that's a thing. Like, you had green mail, both of you had green mail for a really long time, and things hurt in the Dark World, so having just that little bit of extra knowledge, knowing that you can re-heal whenever you want, basically, is always just good intel to have.
Yeah, being on green mail for so long, I took a couple of extraneous deaths just to get some hearts back. One I can think of in Skullwoods, I just ran inside, died real quick on 2 hearts, so I didn't get sniped.
Yeah, I remember that.
It wasn't that bad though. You may happen to find boots
Nope.
Nope.
They had to be in the basement of GG.
Yeah, at this point, that's probably where they were.
But no, it was a fun seed to run. You know, good. Congrats to Yume. Good luck from here on out. Still got to run the table, and hopefully, best of luck on that.
Yeah, good luck to you for the rest of it as well, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, demonrhk and YumeTsubasaCH. If you have not yet, give a follow for both of these runners here on Twitch. Also, wonderful shout out to our tracker, Dragon Strike 1988. Big props to him. He was keeping track of a lot of things going on there back and forth with lots of different locations going on. And of course, my wonderful co-commentator, Slim Kirby. Slim, it's always a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Same to you, Vitasia. Same to you. I always enjoy commentating with you, and this was a lot of fun. So yeah, again, thanks to both runners for putting on an amazing show. It was really fun to watch, and especially at the end when there was a bit of uncertainty of who was going to take this. So definitely a good VOD to watch back for anyone really. Again, coming up at 8 p.m. we have 3 quad races. They will be on the ALTTP randomizer channels 1, 2, and 3. All are going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you want more randomizer, there is a lot coming tonight just in that one time slot. And of course, there'll be a lot of randomizer to come in the rest of the week and the many weeks to come, because this tournament, we are kind of getting to that halfway point. But when you consider the fact we still have the bracket stages, there is still plenty for this tournament to go, so definitely keep checking it out if you like what you saw here today. But I am going to go ahead and sign out. Thanks to all of you for coming by and watching. Thanks to always the Speed Gaming crew for putting on all these restreams so to make this possible. It's always a good time, and it's just always fun to watch Randomizer. So I'm going to go ahead and sign out. This has been Slim Kirby. We will see you guys next time for more Randomizer. Later, folks.
Have a good one.